Here's something most people don't know. Every time you ask an AI a question, a power plant somewhere has to work a little harder. That might sound like an exaggeration. It's not. AI is about to become one of the single biggest consumers of electricity in the world. And that shift is already reshaping the energy market, the stock market, and where the smart money is quietly moving. This is Megawatt Markets, and today we're breaking down why AI might be the most important energy story of the next decade, and what it means for your money. Let's start with the numbers, because they're genuinely hard to believe. A single ChatGPT query uses roughly 10 times more electricity than a Google search. And that sounds small until you realize these models are handling hundreds of millions of queries every single day. Goldman Sachs put out a report estimating that by 2030, AI data centers alone could account for around 8% of all electricity consumed in the United States. That's up from about 3% today. To put that in perspective, that's roughly the same amount of electricity used by every home in California, Texas, and Florida combined. Here's where it gets really interesting for anyone who follows markets. This surge in electricity demand is coming at exactly the moment when the US power grid is already under serious stress. We haven't built enough new transmission infrastructure in decades. Our grid was not designed for this. That means companies that generate, transmit, or manage electricity are suddenly back in the spotlight. And utilities that most investors had written off as boring dividend stocks are now being viewed as critical infrastructure plays. The major cloud companies, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, are all scrambling to lock in long-term power agreements. They're not waiting for the grid to catch up. They're building their own. Nothing illustrates this more clearly than what Microsoft did in 2023. They signed a deal to restart 3 Mile Island, yes, that 3 Mile Island, and buy its power output for 20 years. A nuclear plant that had been shut down came back online specifically to power Microsoft's AI data centers. That's not a one-off. Google has signed deals for nuclear power. Amazon is investing in small modular reactors. The pattern is the same everywhere. Big tech needs reliable, always-on, carbon-free power, and right now, nuclear is one of the only things that checks all three boxes. This has reignited serious investor interest in nuclear energy companies for the first time in years. So what does this mean if you're looking at markets? There are a few ways this story plays out as an investment thesis. First, the obvious one. Utilities and power generators signing long-term deals with tech companies are suddenly a lot more interesting. Stable contracts, predictable revenue, and a tailwind from AI demand that isn't going away. Second, there's the infrastructure build-out. Transformers, switchgear, transmission equipment is the boring stuff that makes electricity actually move. That market is bottlenecked right now. Lead times on large transformers are running 18 months or longer. Companies that make this equipment have pricing power they haven't had in a generation. And third, for those who trade options, the volatility in energy and utility stocks has been creating some interesting setups. We'll be diving into specific plays in future episodes. The AI revolution gets talked about like it's a software story. And it is, but underneath all of it, underneath every chatbot, every image generator, every AI assistant, there's a very physical story about electrons and megawatts and the infrastructure required to move them. That's the story we're going to keep following here at Megawatt Markets, where AI meets power meets finance. If this was useful, subscribe. We've got a lot more coming.